Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing well. We already have done class 10th chapter number 1 and chapter number 2. Today we will start chapter number 3, metals and non-metals. See, a brief introduction we already have done in class 9th and in class 10th we will do in details. First of all, what do you mean by metals? See, according to the physical properties of the metal, which possesses luster, means light, when freshly cut and are malleable, ductile, good conductor of heat and electricity. They may also be defined as those elements which lose electrons and form positive ions. That is why they are electropositive in nature, electropositive elements. For example, sodium, when they lose one electron they will gain the one positive ion, Na positive plus one electron. Here are some examples: sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, barium, aluminium, copper, silver, argon, gold, platinum, nickel, chromium and iron. Many more are there. Now the non-metals. Non-metals which do not possess luster and are neither good conductor of heat and electricity nor malleable and ductile, but are brittle, which may gain one electron to form negative ions. That is why they are known as electronegative elements. For example, chlorine, when lose one electron they will gain the negative charge. For example, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, chlorine, bromine, sulfur, phosphorus, carbon, etc. Now, both metal and the non-metals, when they form together, they form the metalloids. For example, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, titanium. The majority of the elements, 80% are metals, 22 non-metals and the very few are the metalloids. Now, what are the main importance of the metals? See, whatever the utensils used at home, in our kitchens, they are made up of aluminium, copper, brass, stainless steel, etc. Even in the construction of the buildings and the bridges, we are using the metals. In the manufacturing of the automobiles, aeroplanes, ships, trains, etc. In making coins, and the silver and the gold, they are used in making the jewelry, in making most of the machine parts. Titanium, calcium, manganese, zirconium, they are used in countries' defense, means they are called the strategic metals, used in the atomic energy, space, science projects, etc. Now the importance of the non-metals. See, if I'm talking about the non-metals, carbon is the most important non-metal is there. Carbon, most important non-metal is there because all the life on the earth is made up of the carbon compounds. For example, carbohydrates, proteins, oils, fats, vitamins, enzymes. Hydrogen is present in all the compounds of the carbon which are required for the growth and the development of life. It is used in the hydrogenation of the vegetable oils to make vegetable ghee. Used in the manufacturing of ammonia and used as a refrigerant and for making fertilizer. Next is the oxygen. Oxygen is essential for life and combustion processes, present in the air, essential for the breathing to maintain life. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is an inert gas. It is used in manufacturing of ammonia, nitric acid, fertilizers, TNT used as explosives. Sulfur is used in many of the substances in plants and animals. For example, sulfur is used as a fungicide and in making gunpowder. That's all, my dear students. These are the uses of the metals and the non-metals. Now, we already have discussed in class 9 chapter number 2, the physical properties of the metals and the non-metals and their differences also. Now we will do the difference between the metals and non-metals on the basis of their chemical properties. See, metals form oxides which are basic in nature. Non-metals forms oxide which are acidic in nature. See, all metals always form the oxide which are basic in nature, and the non-metals which are acidic in nature. Now the chemical properties of the metals. First of all, we will discuss the chemical properties of the metals, then we will move to the non-metal. First of all, metals always have a low ionization energy. Now what do you mean by the ionization energy? See, ionization energy is the amount of the energy required to remove the electrons from the valence shell. Now what do you mean by valence shell? Valence shell means outermost shell, so as to convert into a positive ion. For example, sodium, when they lose one electron, they will gain the one positive ion, Na positive plus one electron. Magnesium, it loses the 2 electrons, Mg 2 positive plus 2 electrons. Aluminium, it loses 3 electrons, Al aluminium plus 3 positive plus 3 electrons. They are said to have electropositive character. Now the first is a reaction of the metal with the oxygen. See, metal itself, when they combine with the oxygen, they form the metal oxide. See, magnesium plus oxygen goes to the MgO, and we have to balance the reaction. It's that is why we should add the 2 in front of the magnesium. Now magnesium, atomic number of magnesium is 12. Now the valency is 2, 2, 8. Already 2 electrons, 2 shells are filled. Now in the third, 2 electrons are left in the outermost shell. That is why it can lose 2 electrons to gain the stability. Oxygen 2, 6. Now oxygen can gain 2 electrons to become the stable. Magnesium can lose 2 electrons and oxygen can gain 2 electrons. Now the reaction is Mg2 positive plus oxygen 2 negative goes to the Mg2 positive and oxygen 2 negative. They are ionic in nature and they form the MgO. All the metal oxides are soluble in water. For example, sodium oxide, when they dissolve in water, they form the sodium hydroxide. Potassium oxide, when they dissolve in water, they form the potassium hydroxide. And see, all the metals are basic and amphoteric in nature. See, metal oxides which reach both acids as well as the bases means metals are basic as well as the acidic in nature. That is why they are known as the amphoteric oxide. Amphoteric oxides are which are both acidic and basic in nature. For example, magnesium oxide, when we put sulfuric acid into it, they form the magnesium sulfate plus water has been released. Copper oxide, sulfuric acid, copper sulfate plus water. Aluminium oxide, hydrochloric acid, aluminium chloride plus water. Aluminium oxide, sodium hydroxide. Now the sodium aluminate plus water. Zinc oxide plus HCl, zinc chloride plus water. Zinc oxide plus sodium hydroxide plus sodium zincate plus water. See, sodium and the potassium are the most reactive metals. See, reaction is so vigorous. That is why these metals catch fire if we kept in open air. That is why it is always stored in the kerosene oil. This is a very important question, my dear students. Why we keep sodium and potassium in kerosene oil? Because the reaction is so vigorous, they catch fire in the open air. And see, magnesium, aluminium, zinc and the lead, they combine with the oxygen of the air at ordinary temperature to form a protective layer of the oxides. See, aluminium, when they combine with the oxygen, they form the protective layer of the aluminium oxide. And the magnesium, when it burns in the oxygen, they form the magnesium oxide. They form the white powder of the aluminium is more reactive than the zinc, than the lead. Iron does not burn even in air on strong heating, but begins to glow with a bright light. See, iron plus oxygen, iron oxide means 2 oxide or the 3 oxides it's formed. And copper is also does not burn. It is covered with a black layered copper 2 oxide. And if we prolonged heat it, and they will form the cupric oxide, black in color. And copper is a less reactive than the iron. See, gold, silver, platinum do not react with the oxygen even at the high temperature. They are the least reactive. Anodizing, now what do you mean by anodizing process? Anodizing is the process of coating a thick layer of the aluminium oxide on the surface of the aluminium articles to prevent them from corrosion. That's all, my dear students. We have discussed today reaction with the oxygen. In my next video we will discuss reaction with the water with metals. Don't forget to subscribe my channel for more videos. Kindly like and share my channel. Thank you.